Hello dear all. So in this lecture we discuss the administration of the similar remedy. Ninth chapter from Richard Hughes' philosophy. So let's see what is discussed in this chapter. We already seen how the remedy arrived at by the law of similars is to the administration as a rule singly, rarely and constitutionally. We consider the precept that it be given minutely, that is in the small dose and single dose, and in so speaking we raise the whole question to a quaestio vexata of the homeopathic dose. So the important aspect of the homeopathy is about its dose. The administration of the dose is single and rare repetition, and it is given constitutionally, means it covers the causation, it covers the sensation, and it covers the seat of action. Dr. Richard Hughes already touched upon this subject more times. Homeopathy is included in the statement the provision that its remedies should be given in doses too small to excite aggravation or any collateral disturbance. In second edition, Hahnemann had come to occasionally recommending infinitesimals. So what are infinitesimal doses? They are infinitely small doses. The division is thousand, millionth and yet higher fractions of a grain, and that from the third edition onwards Hahnemann propounded a theory called as dynamization. The small dose is a logical consequence of the law of similars. So the homeopathy is not just discovery of the law of similars, but the dose of this remedy based on this law is very important, very special. It is called as infinitesimal dose. It belongs to it historically only. Historically, however, they do belong to it, and you will justly expect me, that's Dr. Richard Hughes, to give information and guidance about them. Dr. Richard not go again over the ground traversed in the lecture 7th on homeopathic posology will find among the preliminary of Dr. Hughes' writings, that is his pharmacodynamics book, but referring to or summarizing these as may be needful. So we continue further the discussion on the homeopathic dose. Dr. Richard says, I will endeavor to lay before the past and present of the subject and to give some suggestion for wise thought and action about it. When Dr. Hahnemann first began to prescribing medicines according to the law or rule similia similibus, he gave doses in the usual quantities. So Dr. Hahnemann first prescribed the similimum based on the law of similars, but the quantity was in the crude form. Then he gave the doses in the usual quantities. But it is not surprising that patients' symptoms ultimately removed were often in the first instances severely aggravated, and from this point he started reducing the doses. Ordinary doses of arsenic administration after meals would increase irritation in healthy stomach. Here stomach already inflamed. So Hahnemann found and he reduced his doses accordingly. So here when patient is already having inflamed stomach and you are giving a similar remedy like say example arsenic, then it increased the irritation and this led to the aggravations. So Dr. Hahnemann started reducing the doses. At what stage of reduction, Hahnemann found that fractional quantities of a small nace exercised a potent influence. So, at what stage of reduction? So, at what stage of he reducing the doses, Hahnemann found that fractional quantities of the small nace, that is the dose was reduced to a very small quantity so that it exercised its influence and yet it did not cause any aggravation. The article on Hahnemann's dosage, which reprinted as an appendix to Dr. Richard Hughes' pharmacodynamics book, see the transition was made somewhat per certum between 1798 and 1799. It only then took 10,000 and millionth, and it is not till 1809 that find using higher fractions than these. So Dr. Hahnemann continued to prescribe the similar remedy in these doses. But from trillions and sextillions arrived at then, we see Hahnemann in 1816 mounting in case of arsenic to decillions, in which finally in 1829 advised all homeopathic remedies to be given in such doses. To make solution, Hahnemann devised a graduated attenuation. Now comes the point that just he has not reduced the doses, but now there is a point of attenuation, which after some variation settled down upon a centesimal scale. First dilution was made to contain the say it contained dry plant on part of drug in 100 of vehicle, that is 20 parts of alcohol, by adding 80 parts more subsequently. The tinctures prepared from fresh plants by mixing their expressed juice with equal parts of spirit. Consider half strength. So 2 drops were to be added to 98 drops of alcohol to make first dilution. Hence, forward attenuation was done in successive files by adding one part of first to 99 more to make third and so on. Finally, decillions, Hahnemann reached the 30th degree of the dilutions. In case if insolubles like the metals, attenuation was obtained by adding a grain of a substance and 99 grains of sugar of milk, and after trituration in a mortar sufficient to ensure thorough admixture, adding a grain of product to 99 more grains of the vehicle. Hahnemann believed that the third degree the substance treated become practically soluble. Fourth attenuation to be prepared with water. Fifth attenuation with equal parts of water and spirit, and sixth and upwards with pure spirit, all in the proportion of 1 part in 100. So this was about the centesimal preparations of the drugs. Proving of Thuja, such a drug might be with advantage raised even to 50th, and in a statement in the 5th edition of Organon, 60th, 150th and 300th potencies displayed more rapid and penetrating through shorter action than the 30th. He used the word ultimatum. Dr. Dudgeon's lectures on the high potency main. Few representatives of Dr. Hahnemann consider 200th is the low potency suited for common use, while the 10,000 forms a new unit from which to start, and we hear of cures being brought by the millions. Dr. Richard must advise to reject this preparation, not so much upon the grounds of science and reason as upon those of pharmacy. They are simple impossibilities. It has been calculated that to make the millionth potency of a single medicine, according to Hahnemann's instructions, would require 2000 gallons of alcohol and would occupy more than a year in the process. According to Dr. Richard, preparations are made and a tendency to keep secret always find it illegitimate in itself. So in the history we know that Dr. Hahnemann first kept his preparation of the homeopathic medicine secret, but that was only for some time, and then he devised a proper scientific scale of the preparations of the potencies. Janitors, which first broke ground in the new field, are now known to be simply successions of an ordinary attenuation with only occasional dilution, so many shakes being reckoned as producing a potency one step higher in the scale. The preparation which go under the name of Fink and Swan are made and called as fluxion, that is action of flowing. Dr. Swan's method a perturbation more violent than the succussion. Dr. Hughes arises a question: does this continuous displacement affect attenuation in the Hahnemann's properties of these medicines which are prepared? Dr. Swan's error has been made in confounding addition with multiplication so that this millionth comes to equal Hahnemann's tenth. Dr. Fink's badly of unesimal dilutions instead of centesimal so that his thousandth is Hahnemann's 151st. And Dr. Skinner unreality preparation centesimal fluxion potentization. Dr. Richard not justified this. Homeopathic triturations were about 20 years ago made the subject of very thorough microscopical investigation by Dr. Konrad Wesselhoff, Samuel Jones and Edward Smith in America and Dr. Bachmann in Germany work on and give 30th volume. The British Journal of Homeopathy said decimal scale shall be followed instead of the centesimal, but that the first step of this shall be the rubbing up the medicinal substance with equal parts of sugar of milk. Large proportion of sugar of milk, a small portion of trituration should be carefully examined under microscope at this stage. The particles are found to be very unequal in size. Trituration should be continued until the reduction of particles to the uniform degree of fineness is complete. Then remaining eighth part of sacrum lactis are gradually added and incorporated, the whole process lasting for an hour. B. A grain of third centesimal trituration represents a millionth of a grain of the original substance. Hahnemann was wisest in his early practice with trituration, in which the first was used for proving and second for medicinal purpose. Q, that is solubility of the insoluble. Q is indicated for mother tincture. Most insoluble substances here become soluble both in water and in alcohol, or if not actually soluble, they are reduced to such minute particles that they are capable of permanent suspension through the fluid. So all these references, all these histories are very important in understanding our journey of the preparation of potencies. So that it remains their medicinal virtues and answers all the purpose of a perfect solution. Example, gold dissolved in aqua regia and reduced their form with an ethereal solution of phosphorus. There results a fluid in which gold is present in the proportion of 1 part of metal to 7,60,000 parts of liquid. In this, the highest power of microscope fails to find any particles of gold. But if it be illuminated by a cone, if condensed sunlight, the golden gleam in the path of light shows that the gold is present in the suspension, not in the solution. So Dr. Richard Hughes gives us all these references in the history. Dr. Wesselhoff found similar results when he diffused through water finely powdered glass. But as to the solubility or quasi-solubility of metal, feature of homeopathic pharmacy, its dilutions. Doubt is how far attenuation can be carried, expressed within our ranks as well as from without. Essay from Dr. Samuel Cockburn of Glasgow and Dr. S. Whitney of Boston, USA, says that the former argues that succussion of a liquid must result in uniform size of all particles, and hence that the drop of first dilution containing 100th part of drug cannot be subdivided another 100 times at the second step as theory required. The second question is matter still active as it is divisible? Dr. Richard's lecture on pharmacodynamics, there shown an impeachable, that is beyond doubt, testimony is witness, the astonishing heights to which poisons like arsenic and phosphorus, alkaloids like atropine and strychnine and aconite can be carried without losing their power to produce their power, that is effect, to produce their wanted physiological effect. Darwin, example, sundew, that is Drosera rotundifolia, quasi-sensibility of insectivorous plants was laid to try how far dilution and reduction of dose could be carried without reaction failing. Example, sundew reagent consists of salts of ammonia. Dr. Blackley, he from careful and of repeated experiment, 1 upon 10,000 of grain of pollen will give perceptible symptom if this is inhaled within a given time. Pollens are oligodynamic. Example, Spirogyra and copper vessels. Professor Oswald of Leipzig, crystallization of supersaturated solution was done by him. Hahnemann's theory of dynamization. Gruegol says it is a matter of indifference. Whatever quantity of iron I make red hot, even were it many hundred weights, whose quality of heaviness might crush me, it could burn me on coming near to it only so far as it could touch me with its surface. So, what is the conclusion we draw after reading all these examples of various stalwarts? Dynamization reduces the quantity of drug substance, but it retains its ability to produce the pathogenesis. So we can prove that through the various experiments that the particles are not insoluble, but they exist after this process of trituration and succussion, and they are able to retain their pathogenesis. So above references show that so many scientists performed various experiments and confirmed it that the drug substance retains its property of producing the pathogenesis, and due to the dilutions the adverse effects are not produced. And that was about all these references in the history in this chapter in Richard Hughes' philosophy. So the dynamization, that is a process Dr. Hahnemann devised scientifically to so that the drug substance is reduced but it retains its pathogenesis. So is the important aspect, the special aspect of homeopathy about the similar remedy is its the potentized form, the dynamic form by the process of dynamization, that is potentization. Thank you.